Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, and our ongoing study in Paul and the Faithfulness of God by N.T. Wright. We're going to look at our recall triad for pages 369 to 391, from nous to noema, from nous mindset to noema design. And this is just going to be a recall triad, but it does help us to really recall the lesson, the great lesson by N.T. Wright. Let's look at block one. We're going to take a look at the ikmalatidzo. Paul says that he takes captive every posited noema design for reality. And, of course, he would already have his own possessed nous mindset and his own intentionality to form phronesis practical wisdom for God's kingdom. So this first step is really a step of praxis, of taking thought captive while doing ministry. It's praxis. And remember, the definition of praxis is action and reflection within a particular concrete historical situation. Praxis is action and reflection within a particular concrete historical situation. That's the Greek New Testament definition. So this is the action moment of actually the action of ministry, and through that action of ministry, Paul says he takes captive every noema thought design. In order to move on to block two, in order to move on to eis hupakuo Christou, spiritual discernment through Christ. This is the reflective semeion moment of evaluating sign formation through a methodology of critique and correlation. We learned from Professor Wright a methodology of critique and correlation. Refine your own nous mindset in order to find an ordering of signs into a noema sign model. Let the personhood of Christ be the measure of this work and the measure of this correlation. So Paul measured everything in the world, every noema design thought model that he took captive. He measured it against the risen Christ he encountered on the Damascus Road. By doing so, we can move on to block three. We can move on to kathaireo logismos. Now we reach graphe semeion. Now we reach the rewriting of the reformed signs. Rewriting sacred space with reformed signs. This step reflects Messiah faithfulness. It anticipates the apocalyptic unveiling of the eschatologically new kingdom in Christ. It is a tearing down of false logismos logic, and it's a rewriting of reformed semeion signs, which Paul could do because he had critiqued the thought he took captive with the person of the crucified and resurrected Jesus Christ. With that critique, he could rewrite and reform the signs afresh and anew, and then order them in a brand new noema design in conformity with Christ. And that way he rewrites sacred space. And that way he rewrites sacred space, and he posits God's kingdom. I love part two of N.T. Wright's book. I think, part two is just my favorite, I think. I really did enjoy part one, the worldviews. I did enjoy the Jewish, the Greek, and the Roman discussion and teaching on the three worldviews of Paul. But this part two on Paul's taking up 2 Corinthians 10:5. Professor Wright is teaching me to take 2 Corinthians 10:5 seriously now, and it's becoming a favorite passage because it really does describe the methodology of Paul's theology. And if you can capture that methodology of Paul's theology, that's a great beginning for understanding his letters. So I just thank Professor Wright for tremendous teaching here on pages 369 to 391, and that's going to wrap up our recall triad.